You are now live. So, Greta has the program. Ask Greta to use her program. Welcome live to Chicago and Chicago, Illinois. We are honoring uh, mothers as well as children. This is a very special event that we are welcoming you into uh, just the lives of Chicago police torture victims. Please enjoy the program. Thank you.
Mom.
Check, check.
Huh? Hold on, Mark. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. How are we? Are you guys ready for a good night? No, you sound boring. Are you guys ready for a good night? A good time? Good food? Good people? Okay, so my name is Tamika Taylor. Many of you might know me as Tamika Irby, but now I'm attached. I would like to welcome you all to what I believe will be a great evening tonight. Now, when I was a student, I met this wild and this wild man with this huge personality, okay, that you all might know as Mark Clemens. I was privileged and honored to meet Mark in 2009 through the campaign to end the death penalty, along with Marlene and a lot of you in this building, Greta, and so what I knew about Mark shortly after meeting him was his spirit of determination, right? His spirit of fighting to win, and many of you all know that, right? Some hands raised up. No. So, and it was just a privilege to meet him because Mark, as he probably have inspired many of you in here. You know, right after his release, he hit the ground. And Mark and I were just talking about how when he was just when he was released, how he was moving so quickly he almost got hit by a bus, right?
Yeah.
And he has not stopped ever since. And you know, it just brings me great pleasure to see him grow in his activism, grow in his knowledge of politics, just grow, period, and also encourage me to grow. Now, we're here today to honor you guys, to honor the torture victims, and the mothers and families and uncles and daughters and sons, because let's be honest, like, all of you all have faced these issues with your loved ones, you know, and it hasn't been easy. The impact upon the African American and Latino communities as a result of John Bird's torture has been tremendous. It shows great distrust with all law enforcement officials. Burge is responsible for as much as 200 tortures, with over 100 of his victims remaining in prison, denied hearings today. So, I mean, that's something to say. I mean, people right now to this day are sitting in prison. And let's be honest, if you family members are locked down as well. When you are missing your loved ones and you sit in there and you think about, just, it doesn't even have to be a holiday. You know, it could just be a regular, normal day, walking down the street. Man, I wish my son was here. You know, or I wish my father was here. You know, and it's just too much. So today we are here to honor you guys. And to thank you guys for staying strong and just the support. So many of the torture victims need support continuously, and it's so important for us to remain supportive. I know we have like busy lives, and then sometimes even me, I get really busy and kind of like upset with myself because I might have not wrote to someone or went to visit someone and time slips by. But we must not forget the struggle, you know. And then also our voices always have to be heard. I mean, look at what's going on today in Chicago. You know, we're making such an impact. So many different activists are making such a major impact, and it has to continue. So today, we're here. Tonight you will see the appreciation of Mark Clemens to some victims of torture, the mothers and the children, and you will see his dedication. You will hear how he was freed. You will see how he appreciated and loved families of men that are incarcerated as the result of Burge and his subordinates. And Ted Pearson and Marlene Martin both rose up. Can you guys stand? Thank you. Ted. These two people literally freed Mark from prison. I mean, with the support of many of you. But, you know, Marlene and Ted, great forces to be reckoned with, I'm telling you. It was a hard road, but they both have shown that they can handle difficult, complicated situations when it comes to injustices being exposed. So right now, we just want you guys to eat up, relax, and chill, have some coffee, some cake, and you're in the treat for a 2-hour special. Okay? All right. So I guess we'll call Mark up to the stand. Oh, no. I'm sorry, Greta. Greta. Yay, Greta. Another fighter. or
Good evening, people. I am so glad to see so many of you here. My name's Greta Holmes. I'm a young activist. If there's a cause, I'll go march for it. Anyway, I want to welcome you to our beautiful church, University Church. And I'm just so happy that so many of you have come out for this very, very special occasion. I think you should give yourselves a hand for being here. This church is a church that promotes justice and equality. It's a church of love and mercy. It's a church where people come when they need a breath of love. We have it enough to go around, all of you in this room. We're so glad you're here. I'm so happy for the families of the survivors. That's what I'm happy about. I cannot imagine what it must be like being locked up when you are innocent. I can't imagine what it's like being locked up when you're not innocent. It's horrible, and you will hear some of the stories, I'm sure, this evening. At this point, we'd like for the survivors to come forward. All of you come forward. Line yourselves up here so we can all see you. Everyone who's a survivor needs to come up here.
And let me tell you, every family member that have a child in prison as a result of torture, come up here. You can put the food down. It's more. Come on.
Come on.
Sure. Crazy, not in. Okay. Even though this is a very small amount of people, what people must understand is that there's pain and that there's suffering associated with each and every family member, each and every mother, each and every child. There's pain associated with those people. I'm honored to at least have had the opportunity. This is the first church that I spoke at. So this was something that I wanted to do regardless. I could have had this anywhere I wanted to have it. I wanted to have it here at this church. And it's for a reason, because it's symbolic. It's symbolic to our movement, to our fight, to our struggle. It's symbolic. You have had mothers that have passed away that stood right here. Yes. They're no longer here today. So I just want you to all understand one thing, that we can win. It's a slow process. People will always put you down. But you gotta keep pushing forward. So I want to shut up, but I wanted these mothers and other family members to come up just so that people can see, because it's the love that opens up the prison door. If it was not love, trust me, you ain't going out in 10 below zero weather. You're not going to do that. If it's not love, you're not going to go to a prison and a correctional guard pulling down your pants and trying to look you know where. So all of this stuff is centered around love. And it's very important that we understand what unity is. A lot of us fail to realize that in that unity, we can win. So I will shut up. Thank you for coming up. Thank you. And I want to hug everyone. And Nick, because really in reality, and where's Bertha? Oh, there's Bertha. Without these people, believe it or not, I would be still in prison. People fought for me I didn't even know. So at least if I can't give you a meal, if I can't give you some type of recollection or whatever, recognize you as a individual, I always stumble across words. But if I can't recognize you as a human being, then you should have left me in prison. And I say that to torture survivors. I say that to any individual where that people have fought for them and struggled for them to get them out of prison. And guess what? This didn't even cost that much. Amen. Believe it or not. The key of it is giving back and having a heart to give back. So let's enjoy the rest of the program. It's going to be an opportunity in which I will speak. The message of my message today. The message is a very important message. And that message is we can win. We can win. We only lose when we think we can't win. Because we have fought some very, very, very huge giants. And a lot of people felt that we couldn't win. People failed to realize right now, today, I have access into some of our Illinois prisons. Took Cheryl, where did we go, Cheryl? We went inside that sucker. See, so the whole bottom line of it is, man, this is a long journey, but it occurred. So I'm going to shut up. Let's enjoy the program. And you're next. What you got on that shirt? You sure?
My paper bag.
Okay, so we want to keep this rolling. We want to give individuals the opportunity to speak, family members to tell us about your journeys, your struggles, and your life experiences. And first, we're going to start off with Michelle Martin.
What's my name?
Would you please come up and speak?
My name is Michelle Howard.
I'm sorry, Michelle Martin Howard.
No.
Howard. Thank you. Sorry.
Hello, everybody. I want to thank all the mothers. Yes, ma'am. I want to thank everybody for coming out and showing you all the appreciation. Mark has me speaking on our organization. The shirt that I have on is Exonerees and Ex-Cons for Change. For change. It has been started by the exonerees that went to jail, that was tortured by John Burge and his entourage. We also have a president here, over here, Marvin Reeves. Can you stand up, Marvin Reeves? And come on up to the podium also. Mark is also, what is y'all? They positions, they are co-directors. And I'm a secretary, so I just feel that the directors should be able to tell y'all a little bit more than I can. So Mark Clemens, co-director of Exonerees and Ex-Cons, and Marvin Reed. Here you go. That's you.
How y'all doing? My voice is messed up. I told her I really don't want to speak because y'all really can't hear me and the mic don't work. But anyway, the purpose of it is because we understand where we come from. When I got out of jail, it was Marlene and them with the campaign to end the death penalty. Okay, the death penalty in Illinois no longer exists. This is about keeping the fight going. And for those ones don't know it, I was locked up too, 21 years, and got my freedom. So your mothers that's working hard to get your loved ones out of prison, never stop. I wish my mother could be here. She's not dead yet, I just didn't go get her. I just didn't go get her because a lot of people in this room know my mother when she started her fight for her son. And a lot of people thought that my mother was crazy because she went in the courtroom one day and she told my lawyer, she said, my son coming home. He said, how you know? She said, because I seen it written on the wall. They said, oh, that lady crazy. First guy in Illinois, not to walk out the back door, out the front door. You know what them ladies said? Follow that little old lady. She knows something. It's true. I'm here. Just like she said. So therefore, never give up hope. Never give up prayer. A lot of the people that's here today that got family members in Stateville, Pontiac, Bernard, I did 21 years of them. I know them. They look for you to fight for them. Never give up. Because if you give up, this would never exist. And what really shocked me is that these people do this and they don't get paid. So therefore, it's got to be in your heart. It's got to be about love. I'm here because the same love that they showed me, I want to show back. And every time they have something, if you don't see nobody else, you're going to see me. I ain't one of the ones that get the money and say, okay, don't wear it out. It's their fight, no longer mine. I don't care about the money. It's my fight till I go to the grave. And whoever gonna fight with me, it's your fight too. It's a transition. Same fight. Same fight. No matter which one you support, it's the same fight.
Exonerees and Ex-Cons for shame. Mark, you up, baby? I want some of the directors to say something about the organization. Oh, all right.
First off,
Hey, Bertha.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm honored, and I just want to say to all the families who are still waiting to have their loved one come home, that if we still keep this up, we will bring them home. We need everybody that can be together. We need black people and Latinos to be together. We cannot fight this fight alone. It's so sad when you have to go through your loved one who's incarcerated. It's hard having to leave him when you go and visit him. His grandchildren was always happy to take that ride out to go and visit him. Coming back home, they were so sad. They cried. I cried. All you wanted to do was bring him home. And what was so bad is having to leave him there. It was hard trying to look at him in the eye and to tell him everything is okay. We're still out here trying to help you. My son did 14.5 years for a crime he did not do. His detectives was Kenneth Boudreaux, John Halloran, and James O'Brien. I'm sure that most of you must know who they are. I think everybody here knows that. We need to honestly do something about this. I was in court yesterday, and Kenneth Boudreaux was on the witness stand. He said that he had 200 cases that he solved. So that means that there was 200 wrongfully convicted. And I'm sure that our sons were included. You know, I don't care what police officer it is. This is about torture. This is about what they are doing to our loved ones. This is not a vendetta that I have. It's justice.
That's right.
All I want is justice. We deserve justice. And I don't mean just my family, I'm talking about everybody. But we cannot be home. Our loved ones, your loved ones are still in there. Mine is home. Thank God.
Thank God.
But I'm still out there. I'm still out there trying to help everybody else's loved one, because we need to somehow stop this. It's not just Boudreaux, it's not just Burge, it's Guevara. It's any other police officer that's out there. We need to stick together. We need to make sure that this does not happen anymore.
Yeah.
When my son was arrested, that was back in 1993. They were picking people up and arresting them. They kidnapped our loved ones. This is what they did. They kidnapped them. And we didn't know what to do. A lot of us still don't know what to do. But things are changing. And we need to still go out there and fight for this. We need to make sure that these elected officials don't stay in office anymore. They need to be taken out. Please make sure you go out and vote. This is very important. And it's very important that we try to make some of these court cases. And most of all, we just need to keep on staying strong and supporting one another. This is how we're going to win. You are the voice of your loved one. Your loved one can't be out here to tell you how he feels, how he wants to come home. My son lost his dad when he was in prison. And I'm sure a lot of you others have lost your brothers and sisters, whatever. We cannot allow this to keep on happening. So what are we all going to do about this?
Right.
We want justice, right? We want justice. We also need, the only way we're going to get justice is by having CPAC. We all have to stick together and support CPAC. Please, we need your help. This is the only way we're going to be bringing our loved ones home. Because these lawyers have a big fight to do. But in order for us to stop all of this, CPAC is who will be bringing them home. Okay? Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Bertha. You know, I was just reflecting and listening to Marvin and how he spoke about how there were activists out there. Marlene was out there fighting for him. And I think it's really important because, and I needed to hear that, just personally me, I needed to hear that because, you know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with JOWOP. Annabelle is familiar. And, you know, you just get so discouraged. Like, are these people going to get out? You know, you think about how they've been sitting in prison since Lord knows when, you know, since they were teenagers, some of them. Yes. Well, all of them, because they're juveniles. They were juvenile sentenced to life. And you know, it's just like you kind of feel hopeless. But then when I listen to Marvin, and it just reminds me of how powerful support is, how powerful the outside voices are, you know, and how we can say, oh, you know what, you don't do this, then we're not voting for you, or stuff like that. We have to bring awareness, and we have to continue to support, like Bertha said. Many times, once our loved ones are free, or, you know, we get exhausted, we don't continue to fight. Sometimes not even for our loved ones. But we have to remain diligent in the fight. You know, we have to continue to encourage one another. You know, if we notice that one of us we're not outside, we're not active anymore, give us a call. Give me a call. Like, where you been? You know, you know, because it's important. It's very important that we come together as a unity, like one force. So I was also thinking about how Mark, when he was being tortured, he said something struck me. How he said that his genitals were being squeezed and all type of. He felt like he was gonna jump out of his body, and he was screaming and crying. And he was a juvenile. He was 16. Yes. Marcus Wiggins, he was 13. You know, and you think about the shock box, like electrocution, like literally. That's going to make somebody scream. Can you imagine the cries of a child in a police station? And you know what Mark said? He said that it was adults around, other police officers, social workers, whatever, police reporters, they were around and they heard the cries of these children and nothing happened. Nobody stood out and said anything. Nobody said, you know what, you know, lieutenant or commander or whatever. It's some children being tortured up in there. It's people being tortured up in there. And that only led to, 28 years in prison. Right. So when you think about that, it's like, where were where were the children? I'm sorry, where were the adults to speak up, to advocate for these kids at that time? You know? I almost feel like I used to work at Cook County Jail as a social worker, case manager, and I started getting like a little depressed because you see everything that goes on in jail, right? 3 years of this. And I just remember someone telling me that they were glad that I was there because they need people like me inside of the jail. You need people like you inside of the prisons to advocate. You need people like you outside of the prisons to advocate. You understand? So my point is, I feel like maybe, just maybe, you know how Chicago police was doing all that hiring recently? Maybe one of us needs to get a job so we can infiltrate and you feel me? So anyhow, just food for thought. But right now I want to bring up Sarah Wow.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. I'm most honored to be here today to celebrate two more very special people. Two courageous and fierce long-distance justice fighters who, unfortunately, due to illness, cannot be with us in person today, but they are here in mighty spirit, and that's Ms. Lois Clayton and Ms. Jeanette Plummer. David Poole, the brother of Ms. Clayton, for over 20 years, has been locked away at Chester Mental Health Center, where he's been suffering horrendous torture and abuses, rape, psychological, physical, and emotional abuses from guards and inmates. Ms. Clayton has been battling for years to remove David from this prison center of abuse and to get him to a place of safety and healing. A long and exhausting fight to end the torture of her brother continues, but she's also fighting another battle, and that's of cancer, which is why she can't be with us now today. Ms. Clayton is currently going through chemo, so today we send her huge get well wishes for her recovery. And we lift our fists of love and solidarity to her and her fight for justice for her brother, David Poole. Her bravery and endless devotion to ending the victimization of her brother when year after year no one would listen to her, her refusal to give up the battle against the mammoth of state power and all its violence is a light shining for all of us. Johnny Plummer, the son of Miss Jeanette Plummer, was just 15 years old when he was brought to Area 3 in 1991, where he was tortured into a false confession by CPD torture cops Michael Gill and Kenneth Boudreau, and Bertha mentioned Kenneth Boudreau earlier. Johnny Plummer was wrongly convicted of first-degree murder and given life without parole. Since that terrible day 25 years ago, when her son was tortured and kidnapped, Mrs. Plummer has fought endlessly to bring her son home, to bring all of Chicago's stolen sons home. 25 years of tireless, endless fighting, 25 years of searching for people to help her with her son's case, years and years of participating in protest after protest, at Alvarez's office, at torture commission hearings, at 26 in California, and at the Alliance People hearings on police crimes, and much, much more. Yeah. Mrs. Plummer taking every opportunity, no matter how her own health suffered, to save her child, to end his torture. And as we all know, the torture continues, right? It's not just that one day. As all the mothers, fathers, loved ones here know, the day-to-day struggle of both supporting one's child as they suffer in prison and fighting for release takes on many forms. The gross economic costs of torture, those for prison visits, phone calls, commissaries, punishes the mothers and other family members and the sons even more. Mrs. Plummer for 10 years could not visit her son because she had no financial resources. She had only her voice, her determination, and her love. I cannot begin to imagine the immense suffering a mother, this warrior mother for justice, Mrs. Plummer goes through. But what I know, what we do know, is that she and Mrs. Clayton are awesome long-distance fighters and have much to teach us, to show us about the fight against our racist injustice system. Mrs. Plummer, due to a long recovery from surgery, cannot be with us tonight, but the force and tenacity of her voice, echoing years of love and struggle, is right here with us. We celebrate and honor Mrs. Clayton. We celebrate and honor Mrs. Plummer, and we send her the warmest get well wishes. All power to the people. All power to the warrior mothers. All power to the warrior sisters. Justice for David Poole and Johnny Plummer, and free all the torture victims of survivors.
So,
I'm sorry,
no, go ahead, Bertha.
I forgot to say one important thing. Thank you for giving us this dinner. Yes.
So right now I want to bring up the mother of the youngest torture victim, Miss Carolyn Johnson. Please come on. Thank you.
First of all, I want to say hello and thank you, Mark, for having us here and honoring us mothers and children. And I want to say that's for y'all who don't know, and for this long struggle, I've been fighting for a long time. This is the first time that I've gotten to have my grandkids with me, which is two of Marcus' kids.
Oh, wow.
And that's Demaria and Demaria. And for the ones who don't know, because I know it's a lot of faces in here that I haven't saw, my son was 13 years old, and and he was got out of school, and I told him to go pick up our mail from our old address from where we stayed at. And when he went, it took him too long, so I kept on saying, "What is taking him so long?" So I got my goddaughter and I ran. Then I said, "Come on, we got to go down here and see what's taking Marcus so long." So when we got down there, we were in this restaurant that's right on 51st on the corner, and I had went in there and ordered some food, and then I saw Marcus. He came and he said, "Mama, they've been shooting around here." And then I said, "And where you been?" And he said, "I got the mail in this at Rosetta's house." So he had the mail, and I was on my way down there to Rosetta after that. He was on the telephone. When he got on the telephone, I saw a black squad car pull up, and this tall, Hispanic-looking man got out, which was a detective, and it was O'Brien. And I ran out there because it was dawn, and I wanted to make sure he knew that I was with him and I was his mom. So I went out there and I asked him what did he want with him while he was on the phone talking. And so he said that, I want to take, I said, it's not curfew, so what do you want my son? He said, it's been a shooting and we want to take him for questioning. I said, oh, well, I'm his mom and I'm going with him. He said, no, you can't go. And I say, I can't go. He said, no, this is a investigation and I want to just question him. So by me being, not knowing my rights, not knowing at all. And so he grabbed him and he cuffed him and took him in and pushed him on in the police car. And so Rosetta called me from the porch. She said, Carolyn, come here. So I came down there and she said, where's they going with Marcus? And I said, he said it was a shooting down here and he was taking him. She said, why you didn't go with him? I said, he said I couldn't go with him. They was taking him for a question. And the other lady, she said, girl, you should have got in that car with them. You shouldn't have let them take him. I said, well, what was I supposed to do? They the police. And so then she started telling me, and I was asking, well, what did happen? And she told me, she said, we were sitting on a porch, and Marcus, and it was like 3 adults and 4 kids. Marcus made the 4th child. And they was playing on the corner off the porch, running around. The shooting took place in the middle, almost at the other end of the block. Marcus, like I said, he is not a terrorism. He's not a gangbanger. He wasn't even a suspect. He was an innocent bystander just standing out there playing, and they took him, kidnapped him, like Sarah said. So when they took him in there, a long time, they had electric shocked him and beat him in his chest, spit in his face. He was knocked out for 2 times, he said. They had them written up their own statement. And by the time they finished torturing him and electric shocking him, he had fell out. He didn't even know he signed nothing. And then when we had called the lawyer, and the lawyer told us that he was charged with murder, you know, I was going crazy. You know, and then so young, 13 years old, being tortured, I was stoned out of my mind. And then it's been so many times that I had wanted to give up. But when Marcus wrote me and told me to get into, go see this lady named Bertha Escamilla. Her son is Nick. That's all I knew, and that's all he knew was Bertha and Nick. And so Bertha got in contact with me, and she always kept calling, making sure I came. And this Joan Parkins little lady. So she always had me to come, and I done had 6 surgeries. I've been diagnosed with cancer. Then it was lupus. I had an OD on prescription drugs, and I was on stress. You right, stress. And stress brought it among all of that, worrying about what they did. He was exonerated. They let him go because the judge said that the case was so weak. You guys don't even have a case because he known these detectives. He knew exactly what their MO was and what they did. So when the judge called him out and told Marcus to come in and point him out, he pointed out each one of them and told exactly what they did. And that judge said, this child is not lying. Every child he pointed out and said what they did, that's what they do. That was they MO. So he released them to me and his dad, and he gave us a little lecture to keep the kids off the streets. You know, so he was exonerated. So I sued him, you know, and I brought charges, made her file a complaint. And I moved because I was scared out of my wits. And so when we moved to Wisconsin, you know, Marcus was going to school and everything, but by him stuttering, you know, they laughed at him and joked with him, and he didn't even want to go to school no more. He was having reactions from the torture and going, I mean, it was just, you can't even imagine. And I've never been through nothing like this. And I thought, when I was hearing people saying that this happened to them, you won't believe it until it do happen to you, until it knock on your door. And there were so many times I wanted to give up. And right now, I'm going to pat myself on the back because I'm not crying. I would normally cry and just cry. Every time they'll call me up to talk, I will cry till I can't. Don't nobody know what I'm saying. And so, but I finally done grew in it. Every time I decided to give up, Bertha, God will use Bertha. Through this whole ordeal, I learned who God was.
That's right.
I hit rock bottom, and I don't know if to say that God used my child to get my attention, but if that's what he did, he got my attention. And I learned who God is, and now I have a personal relationship with God. I know there is a God, and I know everything that these detectives are doing. I always say that they are above the law. They keep on saying ain't no police above the law. All these decades, these officers are above the law.
That's right.
They done took us under siege, and it hurt so bad because my brain, everything started shutting down because all these people here, and y'all know this happened to our kids, and y'all ain't doing nothing about it. Right. I was so angry. I said I ain't voting no more. All the aldermen got to go. I didn't want to do none of this, nothing, no more. I just wanted to give up and quit. But every time I give up, something pop up on TV or Bertha rings my phone, and it gets me right back up. So I just want to say, I kept on saying that we ain't gonna win. We can't, because this is bigger than us. This is so big. This is so big that they ain't listening to us. Everybody that I talk to, they run. they run from, I mean, they actually run when you mention torture. So I said, all of them in on it. Everybody know about it. Everybody getting paid. The judge, everybody. So I'm really angry with the world. Y'all letting this happen, and then they come back and get my child again. The same, two of them.
Oh, no.
Two, Boudreaux and O'Brien. They come again. They preyed on my child, and they use family. They use people that was like family, coerce, threaten them, threaten to give them 70 years to put them back in prison because they did already, two of them, because they wouldn't say it was Marcus. They investigated and found out they were trying to make them say it was Marcus. So when they didn't say it was Marcus, they gave them kids 50 years. 50 years. And now, since them two got 50 years and they used the other people to say it was Marcus, they was afraid. They was threatened, coerced, and they said Marcus did it to keep them getting 70 years. You know, so it's a God, and I'm in it, and I ain't leaving until the rest of them walk up out of there, including my son, and the devil is a lie. And I know it's a God, and I know they are going to walk up out of that prison. And I thank all of you all for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
The jail's gonna come open. My son's in there, and the jail stayed open, and everybody's scared. And you don't know what God can do. He can take it, he'll get you.
Yep.
They haven't seen nothing yet, because I made up in my mind. I'm not afraid of the police. They come to my door. I said, you have a warrant. I don't care if you're not getting up in here. They tell my son. That's what my son, as I learned how to say, call the white shirt, Daddy. Yeah, we saw him do that. We do that. My son said, Mama, call the white shirts. Baby, that the white shirt came, go to the left. My other grandson tried to put him down, and call the white shirts. Let's beat the lady down the street.
Call the white shirt.
Call the white shirt. They just got a white, a black lady policeman. You know, we have rights, but people are afraid. But we have to have confidence in ourselves and most of all in God. He said that you can have anything in His name. We had a prayer the other week, and in Atlanta, you know, they got those police for the people that were working in jail, taking advantage of the people. Honey, they ain't seen nothing yet. We got some war. They got that. They haven't seen anything yet. I just have been sick, but I'm getting back on my feet. They haven't seen nothing yet.
Thank you for that. Next, we're going to bring up a great lady, Miss Alice Kim.
First, I want to just thank Mark for organizing this event. The first time I met Mark was actually through an answering machine message that he left me. And I think that this answering machine message must have taken up all the space on my answering machine. I see Noreen and Marlene laughing because I'm sure they got similar messages. But the first time I met Mark was when he was through this message where he left a list of things that we all needed to do. So he was a hellraiser on the inside, and thankfully he's still a hellraiser on the outside. So thanks for doing this, Mark. I'm also so happy to see my brother Marvin Reeves here. I met Marvin when he was on at Stateville, and you know, he came out, and you know, he's been reaching back ever since July 2009 when he was freed. And then I just met Stanley Rice much more recently after he was freed at an organizing event that Mark held at Columbia College. And all three of these guys, they keep reaching back. They won't forget the guys that they left behind. So thank you. I just want to say that I think it's so fitting that we're here, meeting here today. Many protests, many marches, many events were planned from this room and from the library. I see many people in this room who were part of those planning and organizing meetings. You know, Greta, she used to get up here and just, they say death row, we say Hail Mary. She's known for that chant. So I think it's very fitting that we're here. In that sanctuary, we used to hold live from death row events. This is when the Burge torture survivor, Stanley Howard, who started the Death Row 10, would call in to an audience, a room full of people, and you know, they would have the opportunity to speak to an audience live from their prison cell, and those exchanges were so moving. What we always said in the campaign to end the death penalty is that we need to put a human face on the death penalty, and that's what those live from death row events did. It helped to break down those barriers and the walls of death row. So it's very fitting that we're here. But really, what we wanted to do tonight was to honor the moms. Last week, we also, the Chicago Torture Justice Memorials, held an event honoring torture survivors, and we also were able to honor some of the moms last Saturday night. But it was freezing, bitter cold, if you remember, so not everyone was able to do it. So we wanted to take a moment to honor the moms who weren't able to make it last time, this time. So I'm going to call up Dorothy Burge to help me do that. Dorothy has been a longtime activist with Black People Against Police Torture and also Teach Around. Okay, so last week we were able to honor Marcia Holloway, Mary L. Johnson, Gloria Johnson, who really wanted to be here, but her PACE bus never came, so she couldn't be here. She wants to extend her apologies. Carolyn Johnson, who you just heard from, and Mary Enoch. And tonight we want to honor with this beautiful print that a local artist, Monica Trinidad, made. It says, "We who believe in freedom cannot rest." As Dorothy said last week, the moms know this only too well, right? So, Bertha Escamilla. Annabelle Perez. Amanda Shackelford. Curtis T. Deloney. And Denise Spencer. You all can come on up. And then I just wanted to read one quote from Maya Angelou, because I really think it embodies what these mothers stand for. Love recognizes no barriers, it jumps hurdles, leaps fences, penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope. Yes. So let's hear it for the moms.
Okay, next we're going to ask if Joe Ossenbaker could come up, please. Thank you, Joe.
So I want to hear the voices of everybody here who's been listening and clapping. I want to ask you a couple of questions. So tell me, are you tired of wrongful imprisonment?
Yes!
I think you can do a little better than that. Are you tired of wrongful? Are you tired of police crimes? Are you tired of these dirty killer cops walking free? All right, I'm here to talk about solutions. Now, actually, my speech was already been given by Bertha before, but I'm part of the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, and we're here to talk about community control of police. lately, everybody from Rahm Emanuel, Nita Alvarez, they're all talking about police accountability. But what do they mean by accountability? They mean having another appointed supervisor above the supervisor, above the supervisor, above the supervisor, but all of whom work under the mayor and the city council.
Yes.
Right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about changing the law. We're talking about getting rid of the police board. Getting rid of it. We're talking about getting rid of the so-called independent police review authority. Getting rid of it. We got to change the law. And now there should be some brochures here about this. Can we start those passing around for anybody who? I know most people here probably have already seen the the CPAC green brochure, so we're going to pass around them again. And we got a petition too. We want people to sign if you haven't signed it before. And that petition supports an elected civilian police accountability council. We're talking about civilians. We're talking about people living under the police, having the power to put those men and women under scrutiny, and having the power to supervise their boss, to supervise the superintendent of police. And when I hear stories, and I've only been working for the Alliance for a year and a half, but I've been hearing about police crimes and wrongful imprisonment ever since I got to Chicago 30-some years ago. When I hear that story, like Tanika was talking about, where children are being tortured and no adults in the precinct would say anything, this is what it's going to be like if we win. When we win an elected civilian council, every police station, a grieving mother, a mother searching for her child, comes in the door and says, "Where is my child?" Instead of being shut down by the sergeant, someone will walk up to that woman with a clipboard saying, "Ma'am, come into my office." This is what CPAC is going to look like. I want to hear your complaints. I want to hear what witnesses you have to the crime that the police say your child committed. I want to start a file right now from the moment that your child has been charged or your loved one has been charged. This is what we're talking about. Now, in order to win this, protests have been so important over the last year and a half and over the years. Protests have forced the firing of Police Superintendent McCarthy. But what we have to do is we have to build an organization in every ward in this city. We have to go to these aldermen and basically threaten them with their jobs. They want to keep working, they want to keep their salaries, they're going to have to vote for this. And we need all of y'all to get involved. We meet every Monday night down at 1325 South Wabash. But we're setting up committees in every ward, in every community that's affected by this. So, and I want to just say one more thing. When Bertha was up here before, she talked about how CPAC, she believes, and I believe it too, can go back into the prison and bring out these young men who are stuck in there. Because in the legislation that we have already written, and this has been written by the likes of Attorney Lawrence Kennan, who was one of Harold Washington's legal team. Lawrence Kennan wrote this into our legislation, that CPAC, if we get this adopted, when we get this passed, it will give this council a counselor elected from each of the 22 police districts. I know they have there's the 25th police district, but they combined several of them. There's only actually 22 police. Anyway, that's a technicality. So what this council would have the power to do is this is in the language, to review all cases, even those already settled by the Department of Law, in which a complaint register was filed against a member of the department in that district. And if, in the opinion of the CPAC member, further investigation is warranted, to conduct such investigation. So we don't have to rely on a judge changing his heart. We will have the power to reopen these cases of these wrongful convictions. But But and then the other thing, as I said before, is we are going to set up this council so that these killer cops, these dirty cops, are held accountable so that they go to prison where they belong. And I just want to point out that in August last summer, when we marched with 3,000 people on City Hall to start this movement, Mark Clements, of course, was in the front row and one of the loudest. And I've been knowing Mark for many years, not as long as many of you, but I'm honored to be invited to come up and give this pitch. What do we want? CPAC. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? CPAC. When do we want it? Now. Thank you, my brothers and sisters.
Thank you, Joe. Very informative. So next, we're going to bring up the man of the hour, Mr. Mark Clements. Maybe not.
Hello, and I hope that you are all enjoying yourself. You know, this was a vision, and the vision was to reach back to each and every one of you. Why? Because you are all special to me, regardless if you know it, regardless if you don't. In June of 1981, I was a 16-year-old kid. I was taken inside of a very small interrogation room. I was called the name nigger so many times, I thought that was my middle name. But it also woke me up to the realization that most children today really recognize a lot of adults are phony. I stood as I stand right here and I told the judge, hey, grab my wee-wee. What the judge do? The judge laughed. Had another African-American judge who basically went off of the totality circumstances of the case to conclude, well, guess what? The confession is legal. Based off of the confession and the confession alone, I was found guilty. I had 2 attorneys, one attorney having 1 year of legal experience, and the other one having 2 years of legal experience. However, both of them forgot to investigate the case. So as a result of their boo-boo, I went to prison. I was demonized by the media. I was basically looked down by many of you right here in the community because we have a habit that we believe each and everything that we see on the television, and it's not true. Being so young and entering the prison system, I think that I escaped what some of the brothers probably came out with, and that is the real major nitty-gritty of psychological effects of incarceration. One thing that I can't say that I have not escaped, and that is the fact of living life. When you take a 16-year-old child and you lock that child up at the age of 16, no responsibilities, and then you release them back into this society. A lot of people may not like to hear what I say, but ex-offenders are pawns. People who get out of prison, who've been there for a long time, you are a pawn. I deal with them every single day. That means brothers that are calling because they find themselves in a situation that y'all can't understand, can't even begin to understand. You know why? It's because you wasn't on the other side of that road. You experienced what they didn't experience. So when you take a kid and you lock them inside of an interrogation room and you produce that confession absent their parent, even though there's a statutory requirement requiring police to at least notify your parents that you're in legal, at least in the police custody, police go right before a judge and say, well, hey, Your Honor, we forgot. The judge buys it, says your confession is voluntarily, and you end up in prison. The most damaging thing that happened to me is that I was found guilty on fabricated evidence. When you get found guilty on fabricated evidence, it is very difficult for any lawyer after 10, 15, 20 years to take those cases, and then how you gonna find Joe and Joe don't even exist? But you was found guilty because they said, guess what? Joe said you did this. So now you gotta find Joe to try to overturn that. So you suffer and you sit inside of these inhumane prisons and you suffer. So yeah, you come out in society and people say, oh man, that's a grown man. Look at him, he's 44 years old. A grown man with a mindset that just opens the door. Me and Cheryl, we talked about this a long time ago. Tamika, we talked about this. I'm talking about many years ago. You know, guys are pawns when they get out. And you get used out here.
Yes.
And when you get used, it makes you look like you the bad guy. So the bottom line of it is this. It's a lot that I have to learn. It's still a lot that I have to learn. I have to learn because I wasn't taught it. It's not like they said, well, okay, man, Mark Clemens got out, come on and snatch his hand and come on, let me teach him something. No. So I had to learn. I'm thankful to what I've known is the National Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. Then it changed its name to Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. But I'm thankful to them for the opportunity that at least they gave me. I'm thankful to the campaign to end the death penalty for the opportunity that they gave me. I'm thankful that I have the privilege of still able to travel all around and to speak out about wrongful convictions. A lot of people say, man, shut up. I'm not. And I remember when torture reparations was given, and they said, Mark, you got to shut up and you can't be talking about the mayor and you can't be doing this and you can't be doing that. I said, well, shoot. First, I'm going to wait till I get my check. See, when I get the check, then I'm going to look at it and make sure it's real. Because the city of Chicago, they write a lot of bogus checks. So I cashed it, and it said clear. It was on. Right. Why is it on? Find me anywhere in the nation, anywhere in the world. Find me where that men or women could be labeled as victims of torture by the government and still be in prison. Right. Never a remedy made available to them. That's why I say torture reparations is suck. Right. You heard? It sucks. It sucks because we were used as pawns. Yes. Black folks. Yes. I'm thankful for all the work Alice did. I know she over there like ready to throw a pop. But when we tell you the bottom line of it is, it does. It sucks because guess what? You get phone calls from prisoners that are locked up, and I don't even want to call them prisoners, brothers and sisters that's locked up. And these brothers and sisters, they looking for help. But you can't help them. You know why you can't help them? Because there's no remedy made available to these guys. That means that the city of Chicago sat down, negotiated, and said, yeah, we beat the heck out of those guys. We did this, we did that, and yeah, we're going to give them a little something. Okay? But where's the remedy for those guys that's still locked up? We don't see no remedy for those guys that's still locked up. So, yeah, I let it be known, and I am. I let it be very well known. There's going to be an additional fight because the city of Chicago owes each and every torture person inside of those prisons at least an evidentiary hearing. I don't know if little Jimmy is guilty of a crime or innocent of a crime. But I do know that they should get an evidentiary hearing. I guarantee you, if I was a cop and I put up 100 Caucasians and I beat them and I tortured them and I called them out of their names, guess what? I'm going to jail.
You're going to jail.
And guess what? Just like they did in New York recently and just like they did in LA, they're going to let them guys go.
They will.
So why in the world is these guys still locked up? So the mayor of the city of Chicago, I'm not scared of him. Matter of fact, we were downtown. I think that was Miss Shackelford. Miss Shackelford and Miss Plummer. And the mayor come up and the worst mistake he ever did was shake my hand. Talking about elections. Hold up, pal. You know, no. What about them little lonely torture victims? And he looked at you, I say, man, listen here. What we gonna have to do? The man was like, well, you know, I'm late, but no. What are we gonna do? So no, none of that won torture reparation. But if that happened to him enough, he gonna think. It's just like these little kids, Black Lives Matters, BYP 100, and other groups. People can't say they didn't make a change. It may not be the change that you want, but they did make a change. Because guess what? Find me ever in the history where that one case generated all that attention. Show me ever in history in the city of Chicago where that people demanded that some form of justice be measured and they got it.
Yes.
I'm telling you, they got it. It may not be the justice that everybody is looking for, but before we wasn't getting nothing.
That's right.
So you got to make a step forward. All I want you to understand is this. We can win.
Yes.
We can win.
Yes.
There are brothers and sisters that are inside of the prison system that are suffering from mental problems.
Yes.
We call good bad, and we call bad good. So I don't care if Tony Presswinkle got the whole room full of secret agents. I have a problem with Sister Girl. And the problem that I have with her is this. You cannot tell me that you don't know that these guys at that Cook County jail is being mistreated. They're being fed bologna twice a day. I don't care if they committed a crime. The key of it is give them and treat them with some respect.
That's right.
That way when they return back into the society, maybe they may show you some respect. I have a problem with Sister Girl. Anytime the Cook County Public Defender's Office, 500 attorneys, 68 investigators, for almost 1 million cases a year. Come on. I have a problem with Miss Kim Fox too, even though through a group I do support her. Only to get rid of Alvarez. I want that to be clear. You know the problem I have with her? I've set her down 2 times. And the sister girl can't look me in my eye. So if you can't look me in my eye, what you hide? I told her that. You was right there. See, because when we tell you, when those guys is looking for somebody to get out of prison and to help them, they want to see some results. They want to see, it may be a small result, but they want to see a result. In closing, I want everyone to understand that there's mothers, that there's children, and they're suffering. Yeah, they looking and they smiling and they giggling and whatnot. But at the end of the day, when they go home and they sitting there and whatnot, and they scratching their head and they trying to put them 2 little pennies and whatnot so that they can send their loved ones some money. Yes. Trust me, I already know. But a lot of people don't know. And the reason they don't know is due to the fact that they haven't constantly had to deal with that in their lives. That stuff hurt. Yeah. So, yeah, I want to see Anita Alvarez go. I want to see her go real bad. But is Anita Alvarez going to go?
Yeah, we go down and go down there and yell at them. Every Sunday
I work for the election board, unfortunately, but good. I hate to say and give you the bad news. Either you got to get up, get the word out, or guess what? Anita Alvarez is going to win. Kim Fox has what? Approximately 27% of the vote, where Sister Girl got 34% of the vote with 26% of the vote undecided. So a lot of people say, well, man, it's 26% of the vote undecided. People not catching on. Those are people who normally don't vote anyway. So I won't change, but change ain't gonna come with these people. Change is gonna come when a Kimberly Moe say, well, hey, I don't want to be a professor anymore. I want to be the mayor. We need common people. And we don't have those common people that are willing to run. Yeah, Kim Fox, she comes from Cabrini Green. But can she relate to what we going through right now today? No. Can Donna Moore? And I do think that Donna Moore is a good person. But I can tell you this much. They ain't never lacked. They ain't never been hungry.
That's what I'm saying.
They ain't never had to walk them streets.
No.
So that's basically what we need. I want to thank Victor for getting up and coming, because Vic didn't have to get up and come. I was promised by some of our most so-called prominent politicians that they would be here, and they didn't get up and come. But the bottom line of it is, I'm so grateful for you getting up and for you coming out. There are T-shirts that is on sale. So people say, man, well, why would they be selling these T-shirts? Okay, guess what? The commercials say it take money to make money. How in the world is we gonna be effective and we ain't getting nothing? I remember the Alliance, and the Alliance, it was like never nothing, but they were always there. A lot of people don't look at that. The campaign to end the death penalty. A lot of people don't look at them. So a lot of people say, well, even the major organizations. So I decided to be different. See, a lot of people say, oh man, he just airhead and he just blah, blah, blah. No. Went to Atlanta dealing with Troy Davis situation. I guarantee you people was calling Marlene, tell well, come get this food. Ah. Due to the fact I have a vision. I was there. I realized all this strategy stuff and sneaking stuff and all that. That stuff there ain't nothing but a way is a trick of the devil.
That's all.
Because when we tell you if you was going to be right, you could get on there and say what you got to say.
That's right.
They don't do that. So we have suffered. We have suffered as human beings like never before. And I hate to say, until we build some unity, we're going to keep on suffering. But there are T-shirts for exonerees and ex-cons. And I don't know if Alice Kim, this book here, $15. Okay. And for Alice book, she tried to really get you. But it's a good book though. Reparations Now. Reparations Now. Reparations 1. And actually, it's several articles in here and other little things that I've written. And I encourage you to purchase it. Because I'll tell you what reparations should look like. And it's not looking like what it should look like.
How much is the book?
So,
Can I ask a question?
yes, ma'am.
What's the use of reparations if the same cops are still on the force?
What is the use of reparations when the same cops are on the force?
The same tortured cops that tortured are still on the
Easy.
force.
It's up to the people to hold those cops accountable for their actions. These cops have gotten away, and I hate to say it, and I'll say it again. These cops have gotten away based off of the laid-back responses of the people. It don't mean that Alice, and it don't mean that Greta and Marlene and so many wasn't out here in these streets and raising hell. They were. Now the numbers started to increase a little bit. So now you're able to get just a little bit more. You know, they just don't deny you now. They have to give you a peppermint. So thank you for coming out. We're going to quickly go into an award ceremony. Joe, don't you go nowhere. Sit down. Okay. Tamika Serby. Thank you. Love you all.
Thank you, Mark. Before the award, Marlene needs to say something really quickly.
Yeah.
Remember? You said yeah. The paragraph? You forgot? Oh. The piece of paper? Yeah. Really quickly.
Come on, Marlene.
Okay, well, hang on. Oh, okay, never mind.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry.
Are the awards saying something?
Yeah, okay, Mark? I'm sorry. 1 second, please.
Okay. Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you guys for being patient. So we're coming to the close of our event. I hope this was informative. I hope this was inspirational as well. And now we're going to give out the awards. The first award is to Miss Alice Kim. Thank you for your love and your commitment for justice for Chicago police torture victims, survivors. I love to say survivors.
I wasn't expecting this, and I don't know what to say. I feel like I already.
Hold your trophy up so they take your picture.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well deserved.
I have no words.
Next is Sarah and Alex. You have made a difference in our community, and your fight to achieve justice makes you both priceless. Thank you. From Mark Clemens. Sarah and Alex. Someone take their picture.
Okay. I just I don't really know what to say. But I just I do have something to say. And it's making me think about like when people watch the Oscars and they're like, oh, I want to dedicate this to but just watching the mothers come up, it's really important because it reminds me of my own mother, who's no longer here, and when I watch the women come up and speak, and ever since I first saw them 3 years ago at the first People's Hearing, it had a great significance only because growing up in the city of Chicago, I know personally how we're racked up like animals and taken to the police station. And at the time, I didn't understand what my mother was doing when we would end up in the police station, but we were only juveniles, and it was around the time where it was recognized that Byrd had done what he had done after all those years. It was the turn of the 80s, early 90s. So when I would get arrested with all my friends, my mom would follow us to the police station, and then the police officer would ask, "Who are you here for?" And my mom would say, "All of them."
That's right.
She would say, "All of them." And at the time, I didn't understand, like why she was doing what she was doing, And we would be like, "Wow," my friends would be like, "Mrs. Barber, you're great." She's like, "Shut up and go home. I'm telling your mom." But one thing she did understand is that she was not going to leave anyone in that police station to suffer the wrath of what these police do to all the youth in the city of Chicago. So, in a sense, I want to say I dedicated this to my mom and all the mothers that, do all the hard work. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. The next award goes to Miss Bernadine Dorn. I didn't see Bernadine, but her husband Bill is here. He left. Oh, can we give it to you, Alice? Okay, great. Okay, so have the award for Miss Bernadine Dorn. The next award is the Determination Award. This is a very special award because the determination. This award is presented to Mr. Ted Pearson. You have shown me determination, and it opened the door for me in struggle. From Mark Clemens. Yay, Ted!
Can I just say a couple things?
Yes, of course.
I just want to say two things. First, we're all in this fight for justice, and sometimes we don't see how we're going to get it. And others have talked about community control of the police as a way we can get it by enacting this law that we're fighting for. And I know all of you signed the petition for. There's also something else that we need to say, I think. The crime of torture continues. And I don't just mean at Holman Square. If you put a person in prison based on a tortured confession 20 years ago, that crime continues as long as they are in prison.
Yes.
The statute of limitations hasn't even started to run on these guys that are in prison. The police who put them there, the prosecutors who knew what they were doing, and the mayor who continues to hide the fact that he knows what's going on, these are all part of an active conspiracy to torture these people. And we are demanding that the federal government come in and indict, prosecute, and jail these guys. And let them go. Let their victims go. Now, we don't need new trials and all that stuff. We'll take whatever we can get. But let's fight and be sure that we're right, because the law and justice is on our side. The second thing I just want to say is that there's a mother who gave a lot in this struggle, and I know that many of you know her, and our hearts are with her even though she's not with us. And that's Virginia Clements, who stood by Mark and with all of us for years. And in fact, I believe, and I don't know this for a fact, but I know that Mark is innocent, but I know that in order to get out of prison, to be with his mother, who was terminally ill with cancer, that he took a plea in order to get out. Mark had 4 life sentences, life without possibility of parole, plus 30 years, by the way, just thrown into good measure. So he took a plea on one charge in order to get out with time served, so he could be with his mother, Virginia Clements, who had stood by him all those years. He stood out in front of county jail and with a sign demanding his freedom. And I know she's here with us tonight in spirit, and we're with her. So anyway, thank you very much.
The next award is to the sweetest, true, and dedicated person for justice, Miss Bulldog Holmes. Come on, Miss Greta. Miss Bulldog Holmes. Yeah, all Mark.
Thank you.
Next is a very amazing woman. You are amazing, and Gerald must appreciate your fight. You are a rock to all victims of torture. Thank you for your endurance. Miss Shackelford. Amanda Shackelford. Come on, Miss Shackelford. Oh. Oh, she's so sweet. Oh, we love her. Oh, again. Oh, so sweet. Oh. You want to say something? Come on.
I am so surprised. Mark. No. This is really a surprise. I wasn't expecting this. But I want to thank you. You didn't have to do this.
We love you.
I love you all too.
Yeah.
It has been such a struggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's been days when I've heard some of y'all say you wanted to give up. But that's something I never wanted to do. Because when Gerald told me of all the things they did to him, I had been crying lately. You know, this is the first time. He told me, he said, Mama, what really made me sign the papers when that detective said that he was going to cause me to die early. That scared him. And he said, I'll go and sign the papers because I don't want nothing to happen to my mother.
Yes.
But you know what? It's sad. All those men that are out there for crimes they did not commit. One of his friends has a mother that comes out there to see him. She has Alzheimer's. And when she gets there, she don't even know who he is. That's sad. That is so sad. And it bothers me. And every chance I get, I tell people, I'm not just here for my son. Because there are a lot of men out there, they don't have nobody. They don't have nobody to speak for them. Some of the people that have got tired of trying to help. Some, their parents have died. And that's sad. If I say I didn't do something, prove that I did it. Don't set me up and say I did something. Or do things to me to make me give in to what you say I did. Something is wrong with that picture. It don't look good. And Anita Alvarez, if she wasn't the state's attorney at the time when some of these crimes were done, you know what she could have did? She could have stepped up and examined the cases to make sure those men wasn't tortured. And if they were, find out why and do something about it. Don't just act like you don't care. Now all of a sudden, you done did so much. What you have done, what are you doing now? What you have done don't have nothing to do with now. This is a whole new day.
Yeah.
And you ain't did jack. And that bothers me. And like I say, it's not just for my son. And when he gets out, because he's going to get out. And I know he's going to get out. When he gets out, he's going to be doing the same thing Mark doing. And he done told me that. And he said, Mama, what you going to do? I'm going to be right there with you. Because it's a lot of them still in there.
Yes.
And they don't need to be there. If you did the crime, that's a different story. But if you didn't do the crime, you shouldn't be in prison. That's not for people who didn't do things to people. That's for people who did wrong. And a lot of these police officers need to be there.
That's right.
Because they did wrong. And I wonder sometimes, how do they sleep at night? Michael Kill, he looks so bad. He looks so bad. And the people that he tortured was really bad. But he looked like he might weigh 135 pounds. And that's sad. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shackelford. The next award goes to someone that's very special to me. You know who you are, Marlene. Your encouragement to so many has been their strength behind prison walls and beyond. In Mark words, thank you, Skinny. In peace. Come on, Marlene.
Oh, I love it. I want my picture with Mark. All right, so I do want to say a few words. And I do want to thank Mark for the party and for the award. It's really sweet. So I think it's so important what small organizations do. And I think about how I first met Mark and even learned about his case, and that was through the Alliance and the work of Ted. I mean, just for years they had worked on that case. And then also with meeting Mark's mom. So we used to have Campaign to End the Death Penalty chapter meetings, and his mom would come to the meetings, even though, you know, Mark didn't have the death penalty, but she was right there with us fighting. And I just want to say a little bit about Virginia, because she was, you know, for all of us who, you know, were honored and had the honor of knowing and working with her, she was a bigger-than-life kind of character. So you see why she had Mark as a son, right? But she was, and I remember once, like, talking to her after a meeting, and I said, you know, how do you do it? Like, how can you keep going on? And she said, how can I not? You know, how can I not? It was just that kind, it was just steely. It was like, how can I not? This is what I have to do. This is what I have to do. But she had love in her heart. She was a very spiritual person and very loving and very believing that Mark was going to be free. And she had a laugh that was so infectious. Do people remember? I hope it's captured somewhere on tape, Mark, because her laugh was just so big, and, you know, you just wanted to laugh right along with her. She's a wonderful person. And I got to know Mark personally when I went to visit. I took Virginia, we went to visit Mark a couple of times, and I remember the last time that we went, we were driving back in the car, and she said, and it didn't look, it didn't look great, you know, it was kind of like trudging along, but you don't really know. The wheels of justice, as we know, turn very, very slowly, and I don't want to be dishonest with anybody, and she said, you know, with really hope in her heart, do you think that I'll see Mark free? Do you think that I'll be able to live to see the day when he's free? And I thought, oh, how am I going to answer that? Like, I don't know, and I don't want to be dishonest and say, oh yes, or, you know. And I just remember saying, like, you know, there's still fight in us, and we're gonna work to that day. And she said, I don't want to be in a wheelchair when he comes out. I don't want to be stuck in a wheelchair and not be able to, like, greet Mark. Yeah. And so I just think it's so courageous what Mark did. Mark could have stayed and said, no, I'm not taking any kind of plea. I'm innocent, and I'm not getting out of here. I mean, some guys do that, right? Yeah. But Mark wanted to see his mother, and he wanted to be with his mother. And I just commend that, because that is, to me, that's so courageous and brave, and I love Mark for that he came out for his mom. And you know what? She had a hard life. You know, she struggled with addiction, but she kicked it. And at the end of the day, I got sometimes more than one letter a day from Mark, and I wasn't the only person he was writing to. Mark was like writing to everybody, but the brunt of it was on, well, brunt, but whatever. I mean, the most emphasis he put on help me get out of here was to his mom. She listened to it every day. He called her, he wrote to her, and she's like, she would call me, she'd be like, he's telling me to go on the corner of such and such, he's got something, he wants me to print it out, and I don't know, I can't. She was getting older, and it was hard for her to get out and do stuff, but she tried to do it, and you know what, it was a beautiful day when she got out, and she got to see Mark, and he got to be with her, and then people know that she died of cancer, but he was right there with her all the way through it, and I just think that that's just a really, I mean, the moms are so strong. I mean, all the way through history, really, when you look at it. So I just want to thank you, Mark, about that. I just wanted to say one other thing, and just one other thing, just politically, because everybody's brought up politics, and I have to say, something. Well, one thing too is these guys have lived through hell. All these guys that come out, they've already lived through hell. So I understand it when one or two of them might not want to be involved. They're like, hey, you know, we know some of the torture victims, like, I got to leave town. You know, they cannot deal with it. So this is very courageous that you want to stay in the fight. And I think that that's so incredibly important. Because it sucks what you guys have been through. And I just wanted to say that, you know, I'm so honored. I mean, I think that Mark is like one of the sweetest person. Is that as much as he's like tough as nails, he's also the sweetest person. We argue like nobody's business, right? But we're on the same side of this fight, right? But we're going to argue about tactics, what way forward, whatever. And then at the end of the day, I know he's got my back and I got his. And if anything was going down with me, I know I could pick up the phone and call Mark and he'd be there for me. He's got my back and I love him for that. He's just a very upstanding, wonderful person. And I'm proud and honored to be work with him. I still work with him on the campaign to end the death penalty, and it's very commendable. So the last thing I just want to say is about the elections, because people are talking about whether it's Sanders or Hillary or Kim Foxx or whatever it is. Just let's remember something that Mark kind of said, and I want to underline. That for whoever it is that's the elected officials, we have to remember what Howard Zinn said, that no matter who it is sitting in the White House, it's important who's sitting in, right? Who's organizing stuff, no matter who is in those elected positions. But we know really that the system is kind of rigged against us. So I think we have to keep that in mind, because it was not our black president or some great group of aldermen or a group of commissioners or some committee that brought us the issue of Black Lives Matter or brought us any of the police attention that we're seeing now in this country. It wasn't any of them. It was people in Ferguson that said, fuck it, right? Yep. Day after day, night after night, they were in the streets, taking on the militarized police. Day after day after day. We were like, what? The eyes were riveted on that, and now everything. It's changed the whole complexion of how this is talked about. I know, we all know it. We've been working around this for years, around torture. We've never seen this kind of exposure. A new movement is at birth. The Black Lives Matter movement, and it does have to be Black Lives, because Black Lives haven't mattered, right? So we have to say that. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't be a slogan, because all lives should matter. But right now, we have to say Black Lives Matter, because they haven't mattered. And that has to be the slogan. But I think that's a beautiful slogan that everybody should say. And I just think that that's so important for us to understand that that's what it was. It wasn't elected officials that brought this attention and brought Anita Alvarez to, calling for her to resign, or Mayor Rahm Emanuel to resign, or any of those things. It was ordinary people like us that happened to be in Ferguson. But you know what? That also came here, because we saw what we did. We were on Black Friday, shutting it down. Thousands of people were in the street, and we were like, no, it's not going to be Friday shopping day as usual. And we shut it down in Chicago, and that was a powerful thing. And so it shows you the power of the people. And that demonstration, what we all did in Chicago, that was what brought Rahm, the whole, Rahm should resign. So let's not forget, little people organizing underneath, and groundswells of things can bring about big change or big calls for change. We're not there yet. We don't have enough indictments. We don't. A lot of these cops get off. We're at the very beginnings of it. But now we can at least start to say that the spotlight is shone. Why are they letting these guys go? Eric Gardner's killers. Why are they getting off? Freddie Gray. We have to say, what is going on? What is it going to take to win indictments? Like Ted and other people were saying, these cops who abuse and kill people on the street, they got to go to prison. We got to get the other people out that shouldn't be in there, and then stick some of these guys in there, right? Because they get away with murder. Let's be honest. That's exactly what they do. And until they don't, they're going to keep doing it. So it's good that we have the exposure, but let's keep organizing so we can make sure that we lock some of the right people up for a while. For a while, anyway. I'm sorry.
Okay, the next award is presented to the Voice of the People, torture victims and families. Thank you for your voice that we all need. Miss Bertha Escamilla.
Thank you for this award. I would like to have thought that I would receive this because I would be acting and I would be able to have a good play. But unfortunate, it isn't for that. I don't think we really need to have an award to show that we are out here fighting for everybody, but it's very nice and thoughtful. I just want to say thank you for the people that I called to ask to come down here. There were other people that was not able to make it. The ones that did come, thank you so much. And again, we have to stay together. Please, we need to go and vote Anita Alvarez out. That would be 1 point right there for us to start. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the next award goes to Miss Jeanette Plummer. I know she's not here right now because she's ill, but you are 100% awesome. The hammer for your son Johnny against police torture. Thank you for being a bulldog. Another bulldog. From Mark, a Chicago police torture survivor. We're gonna make sure Ms. Plummer gets her award. This award goes to the ISO. When people have put you down, I have rose up to frown. Unity is what you have shown, and I love it. In unity, we stand. From Chicago police torture survivor, Mark A. Clemens. Woo! Woo! Hey.
I came from work and I wasn't expecting to do this. So I have a statement from ISO is International Socialist Organization, and this is our newspaper, Socialist Worker. And I have a statement from the editorial staff of Socialist Worker. So, many congratulations to Mark Clemens at this celebration of his victory for getting reparations for the terrible injustice done to him by the Chicago Police Department and the criminal justice system. This never would have happened without the efforts of so many people to gain even a small measure of justice. We know that Mark himself was right in the front lines of that struggle. Despite this victory, we will never forget the injustice done to him, the cruelty of the system that tolerated police torturers, that sent a juvenile to prison for life without parole, that victimized an African-American youth because of the color of his skin. We have been so proud to learn from Mark through his speaking and writing and organizing about a system and a society where so much oppression remains to be fought, and to be part of that struggle that all the people celebrating tonight were part of. Mark and all of you changed the world. Now we have a lot more changing to do. Thank you. Thank you. We don't have any papers, but socialistworker.org. We have one, socialistworker.org. It's updated daily. Oh, thank
you. Okay. And this goes to the ICAT. I'm sorry. Fighting so diligently against torture on all levels inside jails, prisons, and police stations. Thank you for your organization. From Chicago Police Torture Survivor, Mark A. Clemens. Anyone from ICAT? Mark? They can
Thank you, Mark.
Just briefly, thank you on behalf of Illinois Coalition Against Torture, ICAT. that I've been founder member of that organization for many years. I am a survivor of torture too, from Chile, South America. So that's why I'm working so hard with all this campaign against torture. It very means even the isolation confinement, even word bartering, everything that we are discussing about whether this is torture or not. So any kind of thing that we are working for, and thank you because this is for the organization. Thank you. I'm happy about it.
Okay, so we just have one, well, it's not an award, but it's a gift from Valerie to Mark.
I don't know what this is.
Nice. Can I read it? Read it too.
I can't read. I need my glasses. Mark Clemens, for the innocent lives through buried eyes, you found strength and courage to soar beyond the moment. You look for the future, knowing you could never forget the past. Thank you for your testimony and ensuring hope for victims and families. The family of Javon DeLong.
Now we're getting ready to close. Don't go nowhere, Ted. Sure. You're trying to run out of here. I want to give back to the Chicago Alliance. And let me tell you, please forgive me. I went to the bank and I tried to get these checks and all this type of stuff here. And I've been running here doing this and doing that. And you see most of that food I cooked. So let me tell you, Ted, come on. Right, yes.
Don't do it anymore.
I'm looking for friends. Oh, Ted, come on. And this is just a small appreciation, but I know it'll help the Chicago Alliance and its wonderful work that it does.
Yeah.
Skinny. Oh God. Come out, yeah. Come be over there ducking and dodging. I know the issues with the campaign to end the death penalty and things, and we fight around these issues. So this is just a small appreciation. Please put it, so thank you. No, this is not the campaign.
I know, but even
now, this is where you have an opportunity to win something. And what I want to know, Alice can't participate. This one over here knows everything. She can't participate. I'm looking for another one who can participate. But I'm going to say this. When was John Burge first alleged of torturing a criminal suspect? What year was that? No. Hold on, because y'all just all talking and I can't hear which way, and you may get the right answer.
1972.
Oh, man. I should have said you could. Come on, Stan. Okay. No question. Now I'm a blocker. He can't participate no more because he knows. Okay? So, look. Who knows where, and she can't participate. Who knows where Marcus Wiggins was tortured at? What police station? Okay, who said that? See, that's why y'all gotta be quiet so that I can see. Bertha? Okay. Come on, Bertha. Okay. And the reason I'm trying to do this fast is because we like took, we supposed to left at 9, but we gangstered extra time. Okay.
Ooh, honey.
What year, and you can't participate. And where's that Alice Kim? She can't either. Right. What year was Victor Stanford released?
2011.
Yup. I should have said you couldn't participate. You was right outside the jailhouse. Right. Ooh, boy. Who is the first victims of torture that generated a spotlight?
Anthony Wilson.
Greta got it. Okay. Hey, it's all about being on top of your game. I'm doing it fair and square. It's like all of those awards I gave away. Guess what? I put you in a grab bag. All of you meant something to me. It's not that the Chicago Alliance or something like that. No, they were in there too. So the thing about it is, I'm trying to do it fair. That way people can don't say, well, man, I think he liked that. That's why he gave all the money. So let's keep it real. When, and this is getting ready to shut you all down. When the Cook County Special Prosecutor stepped in, how many cases originally was the Cook County Special Prosecutor assigned to investigate? Wrong.